friends, and I hope you are doing well today. Thank you so much for joining and tuning in. I appreciate you. And today I'm going to ask you a question. Does your specialist that you currently work with have a plan for you to truly heal? My name is Dr. Jeanette DeWitt. I am a doctor of physical therapy and a chronic pain specialist. And the reason I asked that question, does your specialist have a plan for you to heal? I ask that because time and time again, and it's happened this week as well, I hear so many people talk about that they're confused at their medical appointment. They go in, they ask questions, sometimes they even take a list of questions, and sometimes they get those questions answered, sometimes they don't get all of them answered, but then when they leave, they don't know what their next step is. Does this sound familiar to you? Because I have heard this since I've been in practice, and that's been since 1998. And it's frustrating to me because it means that you as the patient or you as the client, you're leaving the office of somebody who is supposed to be a specialist or who is supposed to be an expert, and you don't know what you're doing next. And that can be really frustrating, it can be confusing, and worst of all is sometimes you don't know what to do. And the whole point in going to someone who knows more than you about a particular topic, whether it's in healthcare, whether it's in wellness world, or whether it's in business or whatever you may be seeking answers for, the whole point of going to someone is to find out what your answers are and get your questions answered, and to find out what the next step is. And so I just want to throw this out there to you. If you are not sure of what your next step is, first, go ahead and go back to your provider, to your specialist, to your wellness expert, and ask them. And if you still don't feel like you get an understanding, then you might not need to ask, why is that? Why is this person not telling me what I should do next? So let me walk you through what really should be happening when you go to an appointment. First of all, I always recommend that people go in with a list of questions. What questions are in your head that you're concerned about, that you're worried about, what's keeping you up at night? These are the type of questions you want to write down in advance, because it's not uncommon to go in and the topics get changed around, but then you leave and your questions aren't answered. And if you don't have them written down and you get kind of sidetracked, then you forget, and then you start driving home and you're like, oh, I forgot to ask that question. Oh, I forgot to ask that question. So write your questions down and make sure that you don't leave without getting answers to those questions. That's step number one. Step number two is, before you leave, ask, what's the next step? And in some cases, the next step may be you're ready, you're doing great, and your next step is a 6-month checkup or an annual checkup. That's fine. You know what to do. You're not leaving wondering, because when the brain wanders around and it wonders, then you're spending a lot of time, energy, and sometimes money on wandering. And I wouldn't want to experience that, and I wouldn't want that for you. So that's step number two, is make sure you know what your next step is. Step number three is make sure that step is clear. Meaning, what's the path after that? What is the road to recovery? What is the road to healing really involve? For example, if somebody comes to me and they're in a lot of pain, my first step is to reduce their pain at least 10%. That's always my goal, because I want them to see that it's possible that their pain can come down. Ideally, I actually like to get 30 to 50% within the first 30 to 45 minutes or within the first 5 days. That's my first step, is getting pain down. And in fact, I have a formula called the Feel Better Faster formula, and I have 5 steps in that. And so people may come to me, and they may be in different places when they come, but that formula doesn't change. So let's walk through that. If somebody comes to me in pain, step number one is to get the pain gone. That is step number one. It's get the pain gone, find pain relieving positions, find pain relieving movements, and help to restore symmetry in their body. So that's step number one. So I have people who come to me in that step, and that is where we start. Step number two is to encourage mobility, to improve movement, to restore, whether it's joint mobility, whether it's muscular flexibility, whether it's just overall movement is fine too, because sometimes people have normal range of motion and their flexibility really isn't that far off, but they just don't feel like they move well because some things are a little bit out of balance or a little bit tight. If somebody comes to me in that step, I'm not going to start them back at step number one to relieve pain. They really don't have pain. They have tightness. So I'm going to start them where they are, and that is to improve mobility, flexibility, and overall movement. Step number three is to increase strength. This is on the day-to-day stuff. Increasing strength, that might be increasing grip strength, arm strength, might be increasing their core stability. That is the focus, is strength, coordination, balance. So if somebody comes to me, they don't really have pain, they don't really feel super tight, but they feel weak or they feel off balance, then that is where they're going to start. They're going to start in step number three. I'm going to look at other areas. I'll make sure I clear step one, make sure they don't have soreness or achiness or any nagging aches and pains. I'm also going to check, how do they move? Because I need to know, are they actually moving? They may think they move okay, but I want to make sure that I clear those things, and then we move into some strengthening. But frankly, we can work on step two and step three together if a person comes to me and feels weak, and I find that they really don't move as well as they thought they did. And then step number four is going to be getting somebody back to what they need to be able to do. Kind of putting that all together. Their pain is down, they're in more symmetry, meaning their right and their left side are compatible and kind of working together. The front muscles of the body and the back muscles of the body are well balanced and in symmetry. That all looks good. Their range of motion looks good. Their flexibility looks good or is improving. Their strength is good. Their balance is much better. They're able to coordinate different movements. And now they can start to do things that they need to do without worry of pain coming back or without worry or risk of re-injury. So that is step number four. And sometimes people finish physical therapy. They finish traditional rehab programs, and they're kind of at that step three mark. And they need something extra, but insurance doesn't cover that. And that's where somebody like myself, who used to practice traditional physical therapy, can really kind of work with them to fill the bridge or fill the gap in between traditional physical therapy where insurance says, nah, you're good, we're not going to cover anymore, but in the reality, they're not really back to what they need to be able to do. So that's where wellness services like myself can come in, and I can help restore some of those things. And also that might be where like some nutritional programs come into play, where supplements and just restoring overall body function and true healing, where we're not just healing the site that might have been injured, but we're looking at how that has influenced the rest of the body. That would be step number four. And then step number five is getting people back to what they really want to be able to do. This is the athlete who wants to compete at a really high level, whether it's winning their age group, whether it's competing at a master's level, or whether it's a high school athlete trying to get to the scholarship for the college, or whether it's the collegiate athlete trying to get a professional contract for their sport. That is really step number five, helping people reach and attain their dream from a physical sense. And that is also something that I address. So I have many people who might come to me and they don't really have aches and pains. They're actually good. They're running, they're playing their sport, but they want to get to the next level. That's kind of step five. It could also be a business executive who can't figure out how to hone in because of their travel schedule, how to hone in their overall wellness, where, you know, they travel a lot or they have a lot of job demands because they're in meetings a lot and they just haven't figured out how to have that work-life balance. That's also a step 5 of being able to do what you want to be able to do and getting a clear path within that step of how to organize your day and how to fit those workouts in, how to meal plan that doesn't take like forever to do. Those are all part of the steps. So the Feel Better Faster formula works for people regardless of what step they're in. If they're having a lot of pain, they're in step number 1. Relieve the pain, get the pain gone, bring their body back into symmetry. Step number 2 is to restore mobility. Step number 3 is to improve strength. Step number 4 is to get you back to what you need to be able to do. And step number 5 is to get you back to what you want to be able to do. If your provider or your specialist isn't laying out a plan like that, or a plan for full recovery or full healing, then I would be asking myself, why am I going to this person when they can't get me to where I want to go? And I'm not saying change your provider. I'd love to work with you, but some providers have a plan, they're just not communicating it with you. So if you have a provider or a specialist, go back to that person and ask them. And if they don't have a plan, then how are they going to direct you to what your next steps are? If you want to work with me, or if you want to figure out where you fit into the plan that I laid out with the Feel Better Faster formula, then go ahead and just private message me, reach out to me. I have different programs available. But if you're already working with somebody, go back to them and ask them, what's the plan here? I mean, that's what I do. And if somebody asks me what their plan is, first, my goal is to figure out where they are in that formula, and then we go from there. And I'm going to either lay out a customized plan for somebody, or if they want something that is more do-it-yourself, like tell me what I gotta do, lay out the plan, and I'll just follow it on my own, that's fine too. I can do that. I have lots of people who are in different places in their life and in different steps on that formula, and I can meet those needs. But the important thing for you to know is that you need to know where you are right now in your plan. You need to know what your next step is that you desire. And then you need to ask, is the person that you're working with, or is the person that you want to work with, able to meet your need? And are they able to help you achieve your goals? Again, if you want to work with me, if you want to reach out with me and just say, hey, I want to share my story with you and figure out what my next steps are, go ahead and just private message me, and I'd be happy to walk through that journey with you. Thanks a lot, and have a great day.